Hello there. This is a Norton India combination stone. It's the IB8. You've seen this stone, a preview of this stone before. I've taken it and lapped it and made sure that it's flat and rounded all the corners, and it's ready to sharpen knives with. And I've got my CRKT Pazoda. This is a knife that I carry with me a lot. It's a favorite pocket knife. It still has an edge and it will still cut paper, but it'll do it poorly. And a lot of people would consider this knife sharp, but this knife is not sharp. It will not shave. I don't know if you can see, but it will not shave. And so we're going to bring an edge back on this blade. Now, this stone is an ideal stone for knife sharpening. I don't know about the harder steels, but I got a feeling it would cut them too. It would probably take a little bit longer on some of the more modern steels, but I bet you could use this stone on it. But for the average everyday pocket knife or tool, this is a fantastic choice. It has a fine and a coarse side. Now the coarse side, we don't need the coarse side right now. This knife is not damaged. It's still got an edge. It's not, I don't have to cut a new bevel into the steel. I just need to bring the apex, the very fine edge here, where this bevel and this bevel meet, back to truly sharp. To do that, this fine side, which is around 400 grit, will do the job quite nicely with no problems. Now this is a oil stone, but I use soapy water. And what I'm going to do, stand by a minute. I had to go get another towel. Normally these will soak up oil. An oil stone will, or in this case I'm using soapy water. But these are impregnated from the factory with oil, so that they don't soak that right up and you end up with a dry stone. And so that's a plus. A lot of the stones that are sold as India stones now don't do that. A lot of the silicon or aluminum oxide stones that they sell they don't do that. And so for me that's a plus. But we're gonna find that edge. And we're just finding the edge the same way we always have. I'm going to lay the blade on the stone and watch this edge as we lift it up, and we can feel it too. It might take a bit of time to learn to feel it. But you can. I'm using a bit of pressure. And on a stone like this, you don't have to worry about pressure that much. Like you would on a water stone. Because this is a much harder stone. If you watch when you lay the blade on the stone, you want to lay this piece here. You don't want it on the stone. And I have, when I went like that and checked, I was checking because I have been accidentally, I don't know if we can see, but there's a bit of a shiny spot there. I've been accidentally laying that on there because I can't really see it. My finger's in the way. That kind of deal. And that's something that you want to avoid doing, because you want to get this whole edge. And what I've been doing just to kind of spice things up, sort of, and kind of and it's shaving again. Lovely. I don't know. If you can see that. But it is. is I've been using what's known as a pyramid. I started out with 20 strokes either side the first pass, and then I did 15, then I did 12, then I did 10. Now there are people that say that will speed up the sharpening process. I've tried it before and never really seen any difference. The blade either gets sharper or it doesn't, and whether or not I use a pyramid or different types of counts for the passes or whatever, it never made any difference for what I could see. But sometimes it's just, I know that is a technique some people use, and it's fun to play around with it. And so that's the deal. And now I'm going to go to 8. And I'm going to lighten up my pressure. Then I'm going to go to 6. And the alternating numbers aren't as important. In other words, you could pick any number scheme, any pyramid. I'm just doing it kind of because it's fun. You know what I mean? We're going to go to 4. And I can hear the stink bug. They are coming alive now around here. And he's up there toward the light. But I have a shop light hanging in my bathroom here to give me more light because I'm older and my eyes aren't that bright and the lights that are in here are not enough. And it also helps with the camera. Let's do 6 here. But he's up in between the two lights. And I can't get to him. When I get to him, I will take care of it. Sorry, Marianne. Gorgeous. Now you see, a lot of times you won't see me because I'll be off camera. But what I'm doing is cutting hair on the back. If you look at my hand, I'm a straight razor honer as well, and you'll see that there are bare patches all over my hands and my arms, even like my knuckles. You saw when I demonstrated how sharp this was here. I believe was the one I did, that I shaved away hair on even the back of my knuckles. You know, and truth be told, I shaved parts of my leg too. I'm just trying to, I use that as a gauge to where I need to work on the blade, whether or not it's sharp or not, that kind of thing. And so you'll hear me say little remarks here and there with gorgeous or nice or wow or slamming or a dozen different adjectives. That's what I'm doing. Now, you notice that I've been kind of doing that right there and then doing that. I've said this before, but there was black material on this stone, known as that's swarf. What it is the metallic particles that are being cut off this edge by the stone, suspended in whatever medium, in this case soapy water, and they get embedded in the stone over time, and these stones, at some point, the surface will need to be re-roughed up again. I use a variety of means, like 60 grit silicon carbide powder, loose powder, or a big fat 60 grit belt sander belt on something flat, anything, because the surface will glaze over time through that metal. I don't know why I keep saying that metal particle that's coming off the bevel of the blade will embed in this. This is an oil stone, that is. With a water stone, you flatten them before you use them, or you flatten them after you use them, and it takes they're soft, and the diamond plate or the sandpaper, whatever it is you use to flatten them, takes that out of the equation, and you don't have to worry about it. With the oil stone, they build up over time because the oil stone is so hard, and you don't have to lap it very often, for years in fact. And so every now and then you've got to kind of rough up the surface and break up the surface so that you get fresh abrasives, because they don't do that naturally. The way when you hone on a water stone, when you sharpen on a water stone, that mud a lot of times that it kicks up, that's the surface of the stone being abraded by the steel. As it abrades the steel, it kicks up fresh particles, and that mud actually helps it to cut. And with oil stones, it's a different class of stones, but I prefer an oil stone, to be honest. But you just do like that right there. See how clean that stone is? If you do that every time you hone, and during honing I do it to try to keep or sharpen. Honing and sharpening are different, and I say honing a lot because I do a lot of straight razor honing, where you're not only sharpening the blade, but you're refining it finer and finer. Now, in this context, we're fixing to move to honing. We just got done with sharpening. The blade is sharp all along its bevel, all along the apex here, all along its edge, however you want to say it, and it shaves the whole way. So this razor, or this knife, is sharp now. So I could leave that just like that. It makes a good, beautiful working edge. The old fellas that came before us, that was all the edge they worried about a lot of times. But there is, we do have the ability to go beyond that, and they often did so with one of these. This is a soft Arkansas stone. And if you really want a good combination of sharpening media, okay, you could do a whole lot worse than one of these stones, which this 2x8x1 combination stone is like $23.54, I think it is, on Amazon as of the date of this video. Shipped to your house if you got Prime for nothing. Okay, that's a killer deal and really, really difficult to beat. You could pick up one of these and one of these, and you could get one of these for $35 probably on Amazon, or off from Dan's. Is what I'd do is I'd get a 2x8x. This is a 1/2 inch. If I had it to do over again, I'd spend $55 or so and get this same size stone, just in a soft Arkansas. And I may do that at some point if I can ever come up with the money. But this is a fantastic stone. It's a 1/2 inch thick. It's an Arkansas novaculite. It's the material that it's made out of. It's hard as hard can be, and it's not going to dish. This 1/2 inch stone will last me my entire life. And so will this, if I take care of them. they'll last my whole life. They'll hone anything I need them to hone and sharpen anything I need them to sharpen. And for a starter kit or for a professional kit, that's a really simple, inexpensive way to get into knife sharpening. And no, I don't sell a kit. This channel is not about promoting me or my making me money or anything of the sort. It's about helping you to learn how to sharpen, because the thing of it is this is a lost art now. In a lot of ways, there are not very many people, particularly young guys, that are doing these things anymore. They're using guided systems, the Lansky, the KME, Wicked Edge Pro, and there ain't nothing wrong with them. Professionals use systems like that, but they use systems like that a lot of times because they're in high production. There's something simple and beautiful about just sitting down as a man or a woman and being able to put a lovely slamming sharp edge on a blade without all of that. And it's a lost art. And that's why I do these videos, not because I want anybody to think there's anything great about me, and not because I'm trying to promote myself or anything like that, but it's to pass this on to the next generation so it doesn't get lost. So we're going to use, now these are all oil stones, and you'll see a lot of people, oh, I can't believe you use soapy water on that. Well, whatever. In my opinion, it keeps the stone a lot cleaner. It's not a lot of mess. It's almost the same as working with a water stone. I don't have to worry about smell. I don't have to worry about greasy stuff all over my counter. None of that. So take it for what you will. But that's, and so I'm going to take this soft art and do the same thing. Alright, I don't know how far we went. We just went from the India stone to this soft arc, and I did a pyramid method starting with 15, then down to 10 passes, then alternating passes, and then to 5, 3, and 2, and 1. Like I said, the pyramid is not all that important, but it's just another method to employ and something different. But what we've been doing is we've been working toward a burr. Well, we normally on this channel we work toward a burr. We abrade one side of the knife until all along its edge we get a burr that lays over to the other side. Then we flip the knife and we do one-sided strokes until that burr all along the edge of the knife flips over to the other side. And what that does is when we create that burr and it comes over this other side of the edge, what we've done is we've abraded that edge absolutely to the very finest edge that we can get on it, all the way along that edge. We've met that edge with the stone so that we know there are no flat spots, nothing like that, but we've got the entirety of the edge. Okay, and then when we hone this other side and turn the burr over on that side all the way from here to here, then we've done the same thing there so that we end up with what's known as an apex, where the two bevels meet, that meet perfectly to the finest point, the finest edge we can possibly get. Okay, so that that blade is sharp. And then we have been doing alternating passes to make the burr do like that until it finally breaks off of the edge and goes away. And what I've been doing with this method, when you do alternating strokes back and forth, remember that's how we get the burr off, right? So when you hone or sharpen in that manner, you're constantly working toward either making that burr as small as possible or ending up without one to start with, or ending up pulling that burr off as you hone or as you sharpen. In this case, I've moved from sharpening to honing. Remember, we discussed that when you bring both of the bevel edge sides together until they're perfect, that's sharpening. And once you do that, then you move to finer stones to hone the edge and make it finer, a finer, smoother edge. So that's what we've been doing, and this method, in my opinion, helps you to kind of avoid a burr or make a small burr that's easier to get off. And a lot of times what you'll end up with a burr. This is what I believe. I've never actually seen it. I've looked at them through a loop and not been able to find a burr on them, but I've only got like a 60 power loop. If I went deeper, if I went more magnification, I bet you I'd find a very, very small microscopic burr on this edge. But if it's fine enough, what'll happen is, stand by. All right. All right. If the burr is fine enough, what will happen is I can take this strop that I have here, a pasted strop, and I can do passes. This has an abrasive paste embedded into what this is, and you can make one out of almost anything. This is a piece of mahogany, because I had it laying around. I'm an instrument builder. Okay, off of a neck blank. And I glued a piece of leather to the top of it. I made sure I took a plane, and you could use a flat block with sandpaper on it, or anything. You don't need a plane. But I made sure that the surface that this was glued to is flat. It's absolutely flat as I can get it. The same way that I would true a stone. Okay? And I glued this on here, and then you can go to places like Harbor Freight and get green compound. It's chromium oxide. It comes in a crayon about that long and about that big around. And it's where all the buffing materials and stuff, the metal buffing materials and things and compounds are. And you just rub it into the leather. And what this is it's a 0.5 micron, half a micron abrasive material, and it will polish, give your edge a final polish. To make it just even a bit finer and a bit sharper. And I have this small one, and believe it or not, I can put a wet towel down and lay this there, and I can paste. I can strop a big 10-inch chef knife that way on this little bitty block. But you can make it as big and as wide as you want it to be. You guys make some pretty big ones. I have a couple of about 10-inch ones by about 4-inch wide that I use for stropping things like plane blades, stuff like that. Plane blades, chisels, that kind of deal. And you're going, instead of going like this that we did when we sharpened, we're using what's known as a stropping motion. And you don't have to get the angle exactly right. You can let it be a little bit shallow because the leather gives a bit. And so, and I usually do about 30 passes with a knife. I don't know how many that was, but that's going to be perfectly fine because I already know that this edge is killer. Just absolutely beautiful. And that's how it's done. Thanks for watching. Bless you. I'll talk to you later.